Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what's going on, fam? How the heck are you? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and I'm back in the kitchen cooking it up. Another great episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live from our beta room inside the Asian Sensation Studios in the greater Washington DC Metropolitan Area. And I know what you're going to ask is that, dude, what in the world is the beta room? And let me explain. Our beta room is a multi-purpose room. And it's very good because this is a room that has a lot of versatility. You know, whatever you need to use it for, it's there. Currently, right now, our studio inside the Asian Sensation Studios in the multimedia room, it's a little bit under, going under some improvements and repairs and so forth. Not like it's damaged or anything, but we're going to be putting some new improvements and things like that. So we're really excited. So for a little while until we get things back on track, we're in the beta room. And this is okay because we had planned for this. We knew this was going to happen. We actually got the equipment that we just needed to make recordings and to look up stuff, online, like a laptop here and a laptop there. And then next thing you know, we have it. It's great. We have everything that we need. I'm not on my favorite chair because I have a chair here that, although it is comfortable, it's a little bit squeaky. It's like one of those old school chairs that, office chairs that you had from like the 1990s. So I can't be mad at that. But I think things are going to be okay when we're going to do this recording. We're going to have fun with it. It's awesome. By the time that you're probably listening to this, we have started a new month, and it's amazing. We are now in the month of June, which means that summertime is definitely here. We are definitely, at least in the Washington DC area, we're hitting great weather right now. Warm weather. It's lovely. Although, if you know the DMV and if you live here, then you know that later on in the summer we're going to be getting that terrible, terrible humidity. And I, for one, am not looking forward to that. Because even though, let's say, it's going to be like, like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, it's going to feel like it's going to be like 115 because of that humidity, and all that weird moisture and all that stuff going on. It's just dreadful. It's dreadful. I mean, I living in the DMV, it definitely has a lot of advantages, and there's a lot of good things about it. But one drawback, I would say, is that I do not like that humidity at all when it comes to the summertime. That is for the birds. At that point, I'd rather just either be outside in a shady area and just kind of hanging out and having a good time, or I'd rather just stay home and chill, I mean, I know that that's a little bit, of a harsh thing to say and whatnot, and it's one of those things where it's like, man, this should, you should be enjoying the outdoors, but, I just live for me and do what I do. So there's, at that point, it's like you don't ask no questions. Real quick, I do want to say a big hello and give a shout out to my benefactors and the Henderson family, George and Deara Henderson. Recently, I actually got a chance to visit them. They are the parents of my friend Jonathan, who passed away back in 2018. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson are great friends. They are like another set of parents to me. They have adopted me as their Vietnamese son. And I always took pride in that, you know what I mean? It's great. But recently, I actually visited them, and I heard through what they told me that their next door neighbor actually is moving away. So they gave the Henderson family, that family gave the Henderson family some gifts. And, basically stuff that belonged to them that they no longer needed. And then both Mr. and Mrs. Henderson actually gifted me with some great stuff. An Apple TV, a 4K Apple TV, which I was like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting that. But that's pretty cool. So, of course I took that because I'm a huge Apple, enthusiast, which they are not. Boo. Boo. And they actually gifted me with a Dell PC laptop, which happens to be fairly recent, I would say. I mean, at least it's running on a Core i7 Pentium, processing chip. And it runs on Windows 10, which I'm not sure about Windows because I've been an Apple guy for about quite a while now. So, learning the PC again is a little bit of a foreign language. But the fact that it's free and, they gave it to me and they said, here you go. You're a guy that likes technology. So why don't you go ahead and use it and, just use it as a backup. So, I mean, I'm really grateful for that. It's a great blessing, and I just want to say, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, thank you so much, for your friendship, your love, and your support, and your guidance. And just the fact that you believe in me and you think that I can do anything that I put my mind to, and that you will always support me no matter what endeavor I choose to chase. It's amazing. So, I love you guys and thank you so much for just everything that you have done in my life. I cannot thank you enough. Today it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a great episode. I'm really excited. Again, we are in the new month of June and, I took some time off. And I'm not going to get too much into the reason of that now, but I will address it in a future episode. That I know. Things that are going to be happening pretty soon is that in the pipeline, I will actually be planning to have a new episode in the works where I will be interviewing a woman from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, who is a singer. She is a TikTok personality. She is a great person, a beautiful soul, a talented person, and a very beautiful person inside and out. And she is Atena. Now, I know for some people think wow, that doesn't sound Brazilian, but trust me, she is Brazilian. She is very nice. Obviously, when I talk to her, her English is amazing. So yes, we will be conversing and having that interview in English with a little bit of some Portuguese speaking lessons or something. I don't know, maybe. And maybe if we're good, maybe we'll have something that she'll go ahead and have a nice little singing number for us. Maybe something like a quick Disney number or something like that. I don't know. I may be asking for too much, but I'm really excited for talking to Atena. I met her through TikTok, and she is great. I'm really amazed of her talent and her abilities of singing. I think she truly has that blessing. She was blessed with it, and it's amazing. And to see somebody who's very passionate about it, it is great. It actually inspires me in my arts and what I want to do with acting and podcasting and the martial arts and everything of that sort. So, yeah, I'm really excited. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off the episode today. Basically with something that I think of a subject matter I've talked about in one previous episode somewhere in one of our seasons. And I wanted to talk about it because, or at least bring it back up, because I felt like it was important. Now, I know a lot of people would say, well, you've already talked about it. What's the big deal? I think it's okay to bring back a subject matter that you talked about previously, if you have something else to add, or you have a different introspective, or you just wanted to say something that you didn't cover the first time, and if you're bringing new information into the light, that's okay. In podcasting, that is okay. It's not like taboo, and it's not like unlawful where you're going to be punished by a jail sentence. It's just that you're bringing it back up, and you're unlocking that door, you're bringing it back out to the light, and you're just going to go ahead and touch up on some more subjects to that subject. So I think that's okay. So let me just go ahead and kick it off, because I'm really excited about this, and I just want to say that this one actually is to all of my creative people. All of my creative people that have a creative medium, which is like, you have an art that you're passionate about. And what I mean by art is something that is very creative. In this case, if you're a podcaster, if you're an actor, if you're a singer, if you're somebody that does painting, sculpting, if you do cooking, if you actually are a musician of some type playing an instrument, if you are a tattoo artist, all these things, that involve creativity, like even like being somebody that's a photographer, that is people of creativity. And I will say this to start it out. Art is art, and art is very beautiful. We indulge in art for many reasons. We like to be creative. It's something that makes us feel good. It's something that, takes us away from negativity and anxiety, and we put that into, a positive creative output, a positive focus that we, a little thing that we focus on and we can focus to, and not focus on, the bad stuff. That's what we do. You know what I mean? And we do it because it's for the love of the art. We love art, and we love to engage in it. It helps us to, go through the motions of everyday life, of the hustles and bustles, and we just try to do the best that we can with it. When we engage in these activities, and we enjoy it, we didn't want to do it for the money. We did it for the reason that it brings enjoyment to our hearts. And when we actually have enjoyment in our hearts through creativity and art, it is amazing. It's always awesome. It makes things a little bit easy for us to do what we want to do in our art, in the world of being a creative. You know what I mean? And it's fantastic. The one thing that I think a lot of people throw a lot of misconception, or they throw a lot of hate or a lot of shade, is that people would say something like, "Oh no, man, I can't believe that, you're doing that. It's a waste of time. What is that going to do? What is that going to prove? It doesn't bring you money. It doesn't bring you a 401k plan. It doesn't give you a sense of job security." Or they would say something to be, a critic, which is a judge. They would say, "Oh, you don't have a talent. This is stupid. Why are you doing this? You're no good, blah, 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 blah." And I like to go ahead and just say, guys, I want to go ahead and just stop you right now. I'm going to check you right now, because you done crossed the line. You messed up. Because let me tell you something. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, and I'm going to replay that, track. I'm going to go ahead and go back to that chapter in the DVD. We do this because we love it. We love it. It's for the love of the art. We know that, we don't have to make money out of it. Although if you want to, and that's something that you choose later down on the road, I'm not going to stop you on that. Anything that you can do to make your money, make your paper, you go ahead and do that. As long as it's legal and you're not doing anything wrong and you're not going to get arrested for it, go right ahead. Try to make your money out of your art. Nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. But here's the thing. When people judge us really harshly about that it's not a real good way to make money, or that we don't have any talent, number one, that hurts us. That really hurts us. That really digs deep into the core. Like, you literally, at that point, cut us so deep that, later on in life, there's going to be a scar, and that scar represents your negativity. For that, I always say this. If you love what you do, and it brings you happiness and joy, and especially in this sense right now about just being a creative person and enjoying your art and doing what you do, who are we to argue with that? It's fine. I think it's definitely okay to do what you want to do for the sake of creativity, as long as you're happy with it. And who cares if it looks right or not? It's what they call the artist interpretation. Some people may get it, and some people may not get it, which is fine. But just because we're doing our thing creatively and we're trying to enjoy ourselves, we're trying to actually stimulate our minds as well as, our energies, so that we don't really lose it and we don't have anxiety issues and whatnot, you should allow that and let that be, and you shouldn't be really rude about that. I've known a lot of people, a lot of talented creative people that have actually told me that their so-called friends and their family members would always be very disrespectful. One friend of mine actually, and I feel bad for her, she's a painter, and I believe that she does a really good job. She has a great sense of color theory. She has a very good sense of actually knowing how to draw on the canvas and then, bring it to life by just painting it section by section. One time, her father, interesting fellow to say the least, but, he was really mad and really irate, and there was this piece that she was working on for quite some time. I would say like maybe for the past 3 months or something like that. And it was on a large canvas, like probably, let me see if I got this right, a 36 by 48 canvas, which is, pretty big in my opinion. I'm not really much of an artist in that sense, but that's pretty big in my opinion, at least for me. And she has been working on a piece for quite a while, and every so often, she works on it periodically so she can cover one section and one section and one section just to go ahead and do it. Now, obviously, as an artist, and especially if you do painting, it's trial by fire, right? It's, you just do what you do. And if there's a little bit of an error, you kind of adapt to it and you just try to do what you can to kind of fix it and have it to be a better flow. Well, one day, her father, unfortunately, was being a really big negative Norman. Something happened. I don't know. I forget, but he was really upset. And, next thing you know, he berated her and berated her talent, and took the canvas piece, like that she had been working on for months, and basically took it off the platform where it was being held on, the easel, if you will. And he actually took it outside and he actually smashed it on a wall, and then to put the nail on the final coffin, took a knife and actually just stabbed through the canvas and ripped it and shredded it. To that, I just feel like, wow, that was a little bit above and beyond. Now, this gentleman in question never really believed in her and never believed in her talent anyways, because he's that type of parent, unfortunately, that was not supportive. And again, like I said with the comments earlier, believe that it doesn't bring you money, it doesn't give you a 401k plan, and that it just, he's just, that type of person. I really apologize to her because, I can only imagine, what that can feel like. Now, I'm not really there in that world, so I don't know exactly how she's feeling, but I could have a good guess, you know what I mean? I could have a good conceptual idea. But the point is, guys, is that, we love what we love to do, and I think that if we're doing it for the love of the art and for our enjoyment and for our own, mental health and gratification. If it's something that brings happiness to us, then I think not only the people out there in the world, the critics and the people and our peers should be okay with it, but we should learn to be okay with it. And, for somewhere down the line, if you want to go ahead and you want to make money out of it later on in life, again, I got nothing bad to say about that. Go ahead and make your money. If you believe that you can make a good dollar out of it, by all means, do it. Go ahead and make that hustle. It's okay. But remember, guys, we do art because we love it. It brings us that satisfaction. There's nothing more satisfying than creating something and then smiling about it. And I'm all about that because, every time that I do a podcast episode, I smile and I have a great sense of happiness all over my energies, all over my aura. Same thing with, being in film. When I'm acting, and I do stunts or whatever and fight scenes, and I do the best that I can with it. It just brings a lot of great joy. There's nothing better, and I do it right now because I enjoy it. Yes, it is a career that I'm aiming for, and I would love to make money out of it, and I would even love to, take it even further and go to the big leagues and just go to Hollywood and make professional Hollywood grade movies, with A-listing actors. That is the goal for sure. But until I reach that goal, when I reach that upper echelon, I'm glad with what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it, and it's bringing me a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, a lot of positive enrichment. That's what it's all about, guys. That's what it's all about. So don't worry about, number one, don't worry about the money. If you're worried about the money, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. But if you are trying to do something where money is involved later on, that's fine. And, you can go ahead and try to explore that avenue. I'm saying that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. Always explore any and every possibility. But remember, we're doing it because we love it. And to the guys out there, the critics, our peers, understand this. At least we're out there doing something that we love, and that we are doing the best we can with it. And we're actually okay with taking the risk. We're taking a risk in that sense, and we love doing it. At least we're trying. If you're not trying it, if you're not doing anything, you have no right to say a damn thing. You really don't. You don't have the right to say anything at all. What you should be doing is just sitting down and shutting up. That's what you really should be doing. Let us creative people do what we do. Let us enjoy our art. Let us have that happiness. Because, at the end of the day, as long as we're happy doing something that we love, what kind of crime is that? I don't think it's a crime. Do you? I mean, I'll say this, if being a creative is a crime, then send me to jail. But I know it's not against the law. At least I know like this, it's not against the law in the United States. It's definitely not, it's not against the law in any part of the country in the world. So let us do what we do. So to all my creative brothers and sisters out there, do what you do, man. Do you. If you love it and you enjoy it, that's the way to go. So I give you guys my full love and support. Be creative, be happy, and do what your heart tells you. You know what I mean? If your heart is happy and you are happy, then I'm happy. But we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. We're going to go ahead and pause. We'll come right back. Much more on the second portion. Don't go anywhere because we are just started and the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is just cooking. Sit tight. Don't go anywhere. When people ask me what's the best tool that you have for podcasting, I tell them Spotify for podcasters. Yes, you heard right. Spotify has now created an avenue for podcasters to do their thing. So whether if you need to upload your already made episode or need to create one using their platform on their website or their app, they got you. Also, now you can upload and or create video podcasts episodes with Spotify for podcasters. How cool is that? And the best part is, this service is absolutely 100% free. That's right. No need to give them any credit card information. Therefore, you don't have to pay any costs or monthly fees. How awesome is that? So, for more information, go to podcasters.spotify.com or go ahead and download the app on your smartphone or smart tablet device for free by either going to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Spotify for podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I hope that you enjoyed your intermission as well as we did. You know, we're here in the beta room doing it again. We're really excited. And I feel like, you know, the way that this episode is going, I feel like I'm on a hot streak right now. And I don't want to lose that momentum. I really don't. So without any further delay, I'm just going to go for it. You know, I'm going to go ahead and just go through the green light, see where it takes me, and we're just going to go and have a little fun, guys. You know, so, you know, the one thing that I'm very passionate about is that I am an actor outside of being a podcaster. And I love acting. You know, it's something that I love to do. And the one thing that all of us actors like to do is that we like to watch film, we like to watch movies and so forth. And I enjoy that immensely. You know, I feel like it's very instrumental to me because as an actor, you look at movies and it inspires you in your art. You know, it gives you like a sense of like, you know, a validation of like, you know, this is what I want to do when I, you know, for my career, for my life. And the one thing that I'm always a stickler about is that, you know, I always want the movie to be really good. And especially in the world of remakes. You know what I mean? Now, for those that don't know the definition, a remake is basically, in the sense of a movie term, is that you take an original movie that was already made and then some kind of production company in the movie industry does their own version or interpretation of that original movie. And you will notice that in the world of Hollywood film and movies and so forth, there have been a lot of people and a lot of movie companies that have actually take an original movie and made it into their own version. Now, going back to the definition, let me give you an example. Say that, you know, I am, you know, a director and I'm actually, you know, working with a movie production company. And we see that, you know, one of our favorite movies of all time, Rocky, starring Sylvester Stallone, is out there. You know, the very first one from the 70s. And we want to take that Rocky movie and make it into a modern day interpretation of what we feel that the Rocky movie should be like. You know, that's the type of stuff that people do. Now, in my lifetime, I have actually seen a lot of remakes. I've seen some good ones, and I've also seen some bad ones. And I'm going to give you some examples. You know, I'm going to give you an example of some remakes that I thought really did it justice, at least in my opinion. I'm going to tell you about a remake that I thought that was really flat and it fell real short. And I'm going to give you an opinion of a movie that's coming up that is going to be a remake. So, that being said, the first remake that I ever thought in my life that I saw, that I felt like, man, they did it justice and it was really good and
and it really felt like this remake was even, at least in my opinion, a lot better than the first one, was the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. Now, I believe that the first one, because I did see it, I think it was in the 1970s, I believe. Don't quote me on that 100%, but I think it was like the 60s or 70s. And it was a good movie. It definitely set the tone. It was about like a bunch of people that were trying to steal a bunch of cars because it was a part of their occupation, and they were going to make tons of money out of it. They were going to steal about like 40 or 50 cars, and they were going to go ahead and just make a lot of loot out of that, which was, at that time, in Hollywood, I thought that was pretty good. Later on in life did I realize that they made a remake of that same movie starring Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie. And oh my God, when I saw that movie, I was like, holy crap. And I thought that it was well done. I liked the storyline. The plot was amazing. I don't think there was some special effects, I think. Not as much, but, I thought it was pretty cool. And the cars, oh my goodness. The cars were like amazing and beautiful. Everything from a Hummer to a Mercedes-Benz. I think there was a Porsche that was in there. There was even a 67 Shelby GT. Oh my God, it was amazing. And I thought that the way that they did that movie was awesome. I understood a little bit of the storyline. It spoke to me. I liked the action, and I felt like it was a more on like edge of your seat kind of like action thriller. And to have an actor with the caliber of Nicolas Cage, portraying Memphis Reigns and doing his thing was really amazing. I think anybody who loves action movies and likes, the modern day era with like the twist of like, today's music with like DMX and stuff like that, I felt like that really did it justice, and it did it well. At least for the generation of our generation that saw that movie, of the modern era around the 2000s, we thought it was amazing. I felt like, that definitely raised the stakes even more. Like it did even better than its predecessor. And I felt like, wow, that was something that was pretty awesome. The one movie that I felt like that didn't really do it justice, and I felt like it fell flat, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live-action movie. Now, the first one I saw back in the 90s, in the 1990s, the very first one, and that was during a time where the actors actually were in turtle suits, and they were actually doing the live action. There was no CGI and all this stuff. And everything was just like, like hands-on, like real-life kind of action and stunts, which I felt like it was amazing. And I liked the storyline, and I thought the actors were pretty cool. They really made it convincing that, at least in my mind, that, they knew how to portray the characters. Like, Judith Hoang was April O'Neil. And, I felt like she really did a good job in portraying April. And then, the voices, like, I think the actor's name is Brian Tashi, who played Takashi from Revenge of the Nerds. And I believe Corey Feldman played Donatello. I thought the voice acting with those guys and the combination of, being, a different turtle really felt like it was great, because it showed, that they were that character, and they portrayed the character and personality well. Like, you can tell that the actor that did Leonardo did a good job, and Corey Feldman did a good job with Donatello, putting his own spin on the intellectual world of Donatello. And then the person that did Michelangelo and Raphael was amazing. It was great. However, years later, when they did another rendition of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 2000s, the modern era, it was completely a flop in my view. I mean, Megan Fox, come on now. I don't think that she really did that role justice. Let alone the fact that I'm not saying that the stunts and everything weren't great. It was absolutely incredible. But, there was mainly CGI'd. There was a lot of things that happened in that plot that I didn't agree with, and it was just too confusing. And at that point, I just felt like I really lost interest. And I remember that time where, both the times in the 90s, I actually saw it live in the movie theater, and I felt like I was alive, and I felt like it was great. When I saw it over with the later version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 2000s, I felt like I wasted my time, and I really wanted to get my money back. It was just really disgusting to me. Again, the stunts and everything were pretty good, but just the plot and the acting, I felt like it fell real flat. It's just one of those things where I felt like, unfortunately, I think they had a good idea. It was just executed wrong. And I felt at that point like, man, if they ever wanted to do it again, like where they were going to do like they're going to do a sequel, I don't think they should have. But they did, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't see that because I was just afraid that my stance of the first one in the 2000s would be the same stance like it was in the second one. And me, I just don't want to waste my money if I feel like it's just, not a good thing. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, that's where it went. I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but I'm more so disappointed in a remake that I feel like that's coming up that shouldn't have happened. The Crow, the new Crow movie is coming out in 2024 with a release date of August the 23rd of this year, late in the summer. It is based off the very first Crow movie that they did back in, I think, 1993 or 94 with Brandon Lee. And I thought that one was really great. It was done well. I felt like the action was good. I felt like the storyline was good. I felt like the acting was good. And it was unfortunate because that was the movie that unfortunately actor Brandon Lee died. Now, for those that don't remember, there was this thing where, Brandon Lee's character Eric Draven gets shot. But they did, what happened was they used a stunt gun, and there's fake bullets. They're all blank. The first one fired, but it never went through the barrel of the gun. It kind of jammed and it got stuck. So when they did a take again of that same stunt, they fired another bullet, and both of the bullets flew. And the first one that was stuck flew out, and the projectile actually hit Brandon Lee in the chest. And therefore, unfortunately, it killed him. With this new one that's coming out, I have reservations about it. It's going to be starring Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs, Danny Hudson. And it's going to basically be a remake of the original one, but a different type of storyline. Here's my thing about it. There are certain films I feel like that should not be remade because it's untouchable. You shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Movies like I said earlier, like the first Rocky with Sylvester Stallone, nobody should touch that. Nobody at all. There'll always be one Rocky Balboa, and that's Sylvester Stallone. There'll always be, there's only going to be one Adrian that was played by Talia Shire. Nobody can touch that. And I feel like with The Crow, it was born with Brandon Lee, and it literally died with Brandon Lee, and that's where it should stay. Now, I'm not blaming the actors of The New Crow that got in this movie and filmed it. You're just, getting your name out there, and, you have a job, and you got hired to do something of that sort. I'm not mad about those actors, you know what I mean? What I am mad about is that the production company that actually decided to say, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this movie. I'm really scared because on one side of it, I know it's something new and a lot of people are excited to see it because they're very curious. But then you have other people on the other side of the coin that are like, enthusiasts and they're purists. And they're going to say that, this movie really shouldn't have existed. It's really, besmirching the memory of Brandon Lee, and so forth. Will I actually see that movie? That's a good question. I might, just for the curiosity of it, but that's where it goes. I'm not the type of person where I'm just dying to see the movie and like, oh my goodness, this is a remake. It's going to be awesome. And, I really want to see it and blah, 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 blah. No, that's not me. What's me is like, they really shouldn't have done it, but it's too late. Yes, I'll see it, but I don't know. And that's how I really feel. Hopefully, for the sake of the actors that worked on it, it's not going to be a flop. Because obviously the more successful the movie is, the more revenue and money that they make. But, I really honestly felt like this is something that shouldn't have been happening. And, it really sucks to kind of see this happen, hopefully, maybe I might change my mind and I might see it and I might be impressed. But then again, I'm a stickler for real good movies and especially remakes, and I'm a purist. So, man, hopefully this movie will do all right. I hope it doesn't get in any more hot water than it probably is. And, we'll find out. Time will tell. The only thing that I can say is that, one thing is for sure is nothing is for sure. You know what I mean? And we just got to hope and pray that whatever happens, that the acting cast will somehow flourish from this movie and that it won't be a movie that will break their careers. You know what I mean? Only make their careers. So I hope that in that sense and in that respect, that they don't fail. And I think that's fair for me to say that. Hopefully, though, if anybody in general wants to make a remake of a original movie that's already been out, you guys better be prepared. You better, do that film justice to the T, and you better make sure that you have everything well in hand. That thing better be on point, because there are a lot of consumers out there that are interested in your product. But if they see that there's something wrong, the first chance that they get, they're going to throw hate, and they're going to throw a lot of shade, and they're going to really make their voices heard. And trust me, we have a voice out there, ladies and gentlemen. We'll let you know whether or not if we like it or not, because that's just how honest we are. I don't know if it's being brutally honest, but we definitely will be honest about our opinions and so forth. We will not let that go. We're going to fire our thoughts out in the forefront publicly, and we will let you know whether or not either A, this is amazing and it's awesome, or B, this was full of malarkey and this is really something that shouldn't have been done and this is your fault. But as I digress, I'm just a podcaster. I'm just an actor that's trying to make it. what do I know? You know what I mean? That's all I can say. What do I know? But on that note, I think that was already a lot that I had to say and I had to express and share. And, I know that there's going to be some people that probably think either A, they're going to think almost the same way as I do, or B, people are not going to think the way that I do at all and disagree. And that's fine. We can agree to disagree. We can also agree on certain things that we both, believe in, or we can agree on everything that I've been saying, and that's fine. No harm, no foul. Just my thoughts and just what I do here. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll come right back. We're going to have a Q&A session, and I haven't done this in a while. So what questions are going to be asked of me, I do not know. But you want to stay tuned because this is going to be an amazing time. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay tuned because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming right at you. See you in a bit. What do you get when you have two undercover police detectives that are underestimated who utilize their wit, charm, and skills to outsmart the biggest arms dealer and all of his puppets in the region? Then you get the highly anticipated action comedy film of the century, Miscalculated. That's right, starring Romel Xavier Morales, Dameron Kirby, and an all-star cast. Now streaming on Tubi, Discovered, and Reveal. That's REVEEL. And now available for purchase on Amazon Prime Video. You heard that right. Now available for purchase on Amazon Prime Video. Miscalculated.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'm glad that you're back with us. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the portion of the show where you guys have been waiting for. The main event of the whole episode, the Q&A session. That's right, question and answer. And this one is actually pretty good because Hector got me good this time. Normally I would answer like maybe 7 questions and he gave me 8, and I was like really shocked, and I really should have not opened my big mouth because recently I had a discussion with Hector. And for those that don't know Hector, he is the person that helps out here at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and we love him. But I told him, I was like, dude, answering 7 questions isn't bad. I think this is really good. It's getting really easy to me. Like it's like kind of like drinking water. And next thing you know, he's like, okay, if that's how you feel, I got something for you. And when I actually got into the station, when I got into the studio, all I know is he handed me the questions, and I was like, oh man. So the questions, they were actually handpicked by Hector, and I was like, okay, well, that's what it is. Now, before I begin, a lot of people want to know how you can participate in the Q&A session, and it's very simple. There are many ways to do it, but here are 3 ways that you can do it. Number 1, and this is the most common one, is that you can email us at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Subject, question for Q&A. Write your question. Let me know what you think, and just tell me, who you are and where you're from. Second method, if you have Spotify, you can have access to go ahead and go on to our podcast page over on Spotify. And when you actually listen to an episode, there's going to be a section where it's like for the Q&A. Now, you can write any question that you want.
Again, it leave your name and where you're from, and if you don't want people to read it out into the public, like public access, but you want only access for yourself and for myself as well, for you and I, then set it as a private, message or a private thing, and I will read it. I will have access to it. Nobody else on the World Wide Web will be able to read it, and when it comes time, I will make sure that I will read it and acknowledge it and let you know what the question is and the answer is, and etc., etc. The last thing that you can do is that you can actually go on to what is formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, and you can go ahead and send that little tweet at TKHPC Experience. Go ahead and tweet that question over on X and let me know what's going on, and I will acknowledge you. And if you don't want to send in like your name and your where you're from on X, I will just read your screen name. Like for example, if your screen name is at Jason125, I'll say at Jason125 asks. You know what I mean? So that's how it goes. So without any further delay, guys, I'm going to get into it real quick. I do want to thank you guys for sending in the questions. I really appreciate it. I also thank you as well for being compliant with my wishes. One thing that I've said consistently about my Q&A session is that I don't want to answer any questions that deals with politics and or religion. I feel like that's a dangerous combination. That is something that, a lot of arguments and fights start that way, and a lot of friendships have ended that way, and I don't want to be a part of that. I just want to keep, the vibe going. As long as the question is not politics and or religion, go ahead and ask me anything that you want. I've had a lot of people ask me about movies, music, sports, video games, about life, martial arts. I've actually had people ask me about, gaming systems and, computers and technology and all that stuff. Yeah, ask me those kind of questions. I'm okay with it. It's cool. So without any further delay, guys, let us go to the Q&A session, the Q&A forum. 8 questions. I can't wait, so let's go. Fire it up and let us begin. Question number 1. Kim, what do you think about the upcoming NBA Finals game between the Dallas Mavericks versus the Boston Celtics? Did you expect this result, and which team do you think will win the championship? Troy from Birmingham, Alabama. Troy, first and foremost, I think that this is going to be a great game, because you have, Dallas Mavericks from the West who are like coming in hot, thanks to the duo of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, versus the Eastern Conference Eastern Conference champions, the Boston Celtics. Number one, did I think that these two were going to make it to the finals? Originally, I did not. From the West, I had the Denver Nuggets because they were the reigning defending NBA champions. And Nikola Jokic is just a beast. I mean, he's amazing. He's a great player. On the East Coast, I actually had a wild card, and I thought that the New York Knicks were going to be going over to the finals. And to be honest with you, they were red hot this season. Really red hot. So for them to not make it, I was a little bit surprised that they didn't get to the finals. But I'm not mad. That just tells me that they still have a lot of improvement to create within the team dynamic. And they still have a little bit of ways to go, but the way that they're working together is amazing. As far as who I think will win the NBA championship this year, my heart says I want the Dallas Mavericks to win. I really do. I'm, a big fan of Luka. I'm a big fan of Kyrie. I think that, they've really been doing it pretty well. They're literally the tandem team like Batman and Robin. But somehow my head says that the Boston Celtics will win because, being in the NBA Finals, for so many years recently and not winning the championship, I feel like they're going to come in hot and they got a lot to prove. And when you have that, a lot of anger and frustration for not completing the mission, that's probably going to be their motivation. I think it's going to go all 7 games. I really do. But either way, I feel like the fans are going to win because you have 2 great teams. I'm pretty sure that the Dallas Mavericks have never faced the Celtics before. They never faced the Boston Celtics in an NBA championship environment. So it's going to be very interesting to really see what's going to happen. So there you go. Question number 2. Do you believe in the phrase that the clothes make the man or woman? Jennifer from Davidsonville, Maryland. Oh, Davidsonville, Maryland, not far from Annapolis, Maryland. What up? Maryland, stand up. Jennifer, I'm going to say this. I do believe in that phrase that the clothes do make the man and the woman because, when people actually see other people and they see them dressed, they're just like, it leaves them nothing but positive impressions, and thoughts about them, And plus, when people dress up, they kind of feel good, They're not feeling like they're, that they're underdressed. They feel like they're dressed for the occasion, and they dress up because they're very proud of that. Now, here's the flip side of the coin. Just because, let's say, for example, if you don't wear like a suit or like name brand clothing, does not mean that you're any less of a person. Like let's say, for example, you wear jeans and a t-shirt. Like you wear like Wrangler jeans with Vans t-shirt and like Vans shoes, or just like maybe just like cargo shorts with flip-flops and a surfing t-shirt. That doesn't make you, a bad person. It really doesn't, And I think that it saddens me and it's terrible when people judge other people, by the clothes that they wear. You may not know the situation that they're in or the position that they're in, or, you just may not know the person in general as a whole. And I think that we really do need to stop being judgmental in that way. So, overall, yes, the clothes do make the person, but not necessarily 100%, It's not the end all be all if you, dress loose or if you dress the way that you want to dress. I feel like as long as you're comfortable in your own skin and you want to wear, whatever, then yeah, do it. That's okay. There's nothing against the law that says that you can't wear flip-flops, shorts, and, maybe like a cut-off t-shirt, that has like some kind of band logo or something like that. If you feel comfortable in doing that, bro, go ahead and do it. I'm okay with it. You're not going to get any judgment from me, except maybe for the fact that I might say like, hey, that looks kind of cool, or I like that shirt, or dudes flip-flops are pretty cool. Like they look like they're very sturdy, knowing that they're made out of like kind of like a leather material as opposed to like foam and stuff. So Jennifer, I hope that answers your question for sure. Question number 3. Who would you like to interview on your podcast show in the future? And currently, are there future episodes that will involve special guests that are coming through the pipeline? Jose from Columbia, South Carolina. Jose, there is somebody in the works that I am trying to, seal the deal, if you will. And there is one that I can confirm that is on the way. One episode that is on the way that I will have as a episode where I will interview that guest The guest is a very special person who is a singer and a TikTok personality, coming all the way from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, by the name of Atena. She is a very lovely girl. She has a lot of great talent. I love her energy, and I just love the vibe that she gives to other people, because it's very comfortable and it's very soothing, and she makes you feel like, that you're included, and she wants you to be there. And the fact that she just, has, that great energy of positivity and so forth, I feel like it's great. And I have been in negotiations with her, and we will do an interview. We will have her on sometime this month. We don't know when exactly, but we will make this happen. I'm looking forward to it. And, I always say that, artists should actually support other artists, and this will be amazing. The fact that I get to talk to her and have this chance and that opportunity, it makes me very excited. So Atena is coming to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'm currently in negotiations of talking to another singer and TikTok personality coming all the way from Moscow, Russia. Her name is Veta Lenta. And she's just a great singer. She's already got a lot of stuff on on Apple Music, or formerly known as iTunes, and she's on Spotify and stuff like that. And her singles are really amazing. They are very different. They have a good beat, and she sings with a lot of great emotion. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that we can kind of get that going. She said that she was going to be available sometime in mid-June, but I need to really jump more on the opportunity and really sit down and talk to her, because I would really like to interview her. I think it would be a great opportunity just to get her talent out there and to really give it some exposure and to have her have exposure. You know what I mean? It would be great. The one person that I really want to interview that I have, I've expressed it, but I don't know if he really thought about it, is Davey Suicide. I've said this numerous times that I would love to interview the guy. I really, really do. He's one of my good friends for a very long time, for many, 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 many years. And, he's a very talented musician. He's also a tattoo artist. There's a lot of things that go on with him, for the fact that he's got so many diverse things that he does create in the creativity level. And we need to really get that going. I would love to talk to him. If I could talk to him, that would kind of be like a great crowning achievement. But I know he's been busy. I know that he's got a new album coming out that he's really working on. So he's really around the clock working on that. Plus the fact that, he is a father. He's a father of a son who is 21 years old. And, he's busy being, the man that he is, being a father. He's being a father to his son. He's being a man, and he's busy. And I give him respect to that. I really do. But if I could really nail having an interview with Davey, having a sit down, talking with him and seeing what's going on, I really would appreciate that. I think that would be amazing. So Davey, I am going to call you out, bro. And I love you, man. I really do. But I'm going to call you out. I'm singling you out. I would really like to have a chance to talk to you, to have an interview and make this happen. I mean, damn, I know that we're boys, and you said, I know you had said like something like, I really feel like if my friends had podcasts, I feel like I'd rather just hang out with them rather than being on their show and stuff like that. But dude, I would really love to have this opportunity. I really, really would. So please consider it. Really consider it. I wouldn't ask you this type of a favor and this type of I wouldn't ask you for this type of a request if I didn't think that I could do it, and if I didn't think it would benefit the both of us, and giving the fans what they want, especially the Davey Suicide fans, give them what they want. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good thing for sure. Question number 4. Kim, I recently broke up with now my ex-boyfriend, and it has been a hard time transitioning from being in a relationship to now being single again. I'm not sure what it means. Any insights and opinions? Caitlin from Jackson Township, New Jersey. Caitlin, first off, I want to say that that I'm really sorry that you broke up with now your ex-boyfriend, and I know it's really tough. It's hard, because you were a person that was in a relationship that invested your time and your energy into something, and you really wanted it to work. Just as much as I would think and hope and just say, for the sake of saying, that your ex-boyfriend wanted to make it work, and he had also invested his time and his energy into it. Now, I don't know what happened. I really don't. I don't know if he broke it off or you broke it off, or what were the reasons or the conditions of why this happened. I think that's irrelevant. You know what I mean? What I will say is that you guys tried your very best to make something of a relationship happen. And for the moment in time, it was really beautiful. It was a great thing, and you guys really cared for each other and probably loved each other, to whatever level it is, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that you guys really loved each other. And somewhere along the way, unfortunately, it just fizzled. You know what I mean? The juice was no longer worth the squeeze, and just something happened. Now, I'm not going to say that it is his fault, and I'm not going to say that it is your fault. It's just one of those things where, unfortunately, you guys outgrew each other. The relationship outgrew each other, and it's okay. Things like this does happen. This happened way before, time. It happened before we were born. It's happening now, and it'll probably happen like years later in the future. So I'm not saying anything bad about the situation. The one thing I will say is that going forward, I think you need to keep stepping and keep moving. Keep walking forward. Don't look back, because when you look back, and there's going to be some resentments. There's going to be the questions of the what ifs. And just like the Oasis song, when you look back in anger. Don't do that. Just keep moving forward, keep walking. You'll be fine. I think that if you take it one step at a time, one day at a time, it's going to be okay. Now, I know it's not going to be an instant fix where, you're hoping that you'll be healed and everything will be well by tomorrow. So just give it some time. Focus on yourself. Again, take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and you'll be fine. Rely on your friends, because they are your people that are in your circle that, are a positive network. And, if there's something that you need to air out, just air it out. It's okay. So no worries. Question number 5. When it comes to the martial arts, why do some students quit, especially when they are one rank away from the black belt rank? Henry from Twins Falls, Idaho? Twins Falls, Idaho. Okay. Henry, there's a lot of reasons why people stop, and especially when they're just like one step away from the black belt. And there's many reasons. You name it, it's probably happening. With kids, some parents, they pay for that tuition, and when they see that their kid is like, one step away, things happen. Like, maybe the finances are a little bit too much, and they can't afford the lessons anymore, so they have to stop it. And unfortunately, it results in the child not getting, to where they need to go, which is unfortunate. There are some other people out there that feel like, this is the best that I'm going to do, and I'm getting already a lot out of it already, so I don't think I need to continue anymore. Some people are just scared about, testing and failing, and some people are just, the fact of, going for that black belt, it does cause a lot of mental anxiety for some people. I'm not saying for all, but I'm saying for some. And these are all valid, only from my sense, I can say this. When I talk to my fellow students and people that I help teach and instruct, I always try to go the positive route, and I always try to tell them that they're doing a good job and that they're doing well, and that, practice as much as you can. Perfect practice makes perfect. And, if they need anything, any support or anything of that sort, or if they need some help with stuff that regards to what they need to know in their rank when it comes to the martial arts or something out of it, that I'm there for them, and I always tell them, the goal is right there. It's like, every time that you get promoted to a higher rank, you're one step closer to the ultimate goal of achieving black belt. But, I can only do so much. So I can only say that, I will give them support and I will do what I can. But as far as, doing the work and getting it done, that's their responsibility. They have to be accountable for that. So, I just hope that, the active students right now that are training are not thinking about quitting, or most importantly, if they're one step away from black belt, that they won't quit because they've gone too far in the journey just to stop now. It's like saying that you're traveling from Los Angeles, California, and you want to go all the way to New York, and literally you're literally right there, and somehow you stop in Pennsylvania, and it's like, no, dude, no, I didn't want that. Darn it. You know what I mean? So, never give up, guys. Never give up. That is the number one thing I can say. Question number 6. I'm a person that likes to work out a lot with various exercise routines, but lifting weights and strength training is not my strong suit. Any advice? William from Bristol, Rhode Island. William, I will say this. This is just my opinion. I'm not really a professional in this area, but I'm going to give it a shot. And if you want to follow it, please feel free to do so. If not, then that's okay. But if you do follow it, I will say that, you enter at your own risk. That being said, I think that's great that you exercise a lot and you're really active, because the point of exercise is to actually get the blood flowing. And they say that the more that you exercise, then the more good you're going to do for your body. More, body improvement and health improvement, because that's a must. I would say that if you like lifting weights, but it's just not really your strong forte, you can still lift weights, but go for something simple. Example. Say you're trying to do some arm curls, right? And right now you can only do, like, let's say 5 pounds or 10 pounds max for just arm curling and stuff like that, and shoulder raises and stuff like that. That's cool, man. You want to actually work at your own rate rather than pushing it to a limit where that you can't do it and you're going to cause more harm on your body than good. So I would say, stick with that, and when you get used to it and you get a little bit stronger, then add more weight resistance. Like example, I'm already doing 10 pounds pretty good. I've been doing it for a little while. I'm kind of used to it. Okay, jump from now 10 pounds to 12 pounds. Or if you feel saucy, jump from 10 pounds to 15 pounds. It's okay to go a little bit, easy and small. It's cool, because at least you're getting the exercise, and at least your arms are developing the strength. Same thing like if you're doing benching. If you can just only lift the bar, but you can't do 135 pounds, go ahead and bench the bar. That's cool. That's 45 pounds. You're building resistance. You're building strength. It's okay. Nobody's going to judge you for it. And also incorporate a lot of great cardio exercises. Like, it's something simple. Like, walking. If you want to walk around, on you say around your neighborhood and you want to just walk around for distance, that's cool. Walk around, take your time, do whatever it is that you need to do. Unless you feel like you need a challenge and you want to go ahead and jog or run, that's cool too. Also, like other cool, easy cardio exercises, like, if you have a bike, you can go riding your bike for a certain amount of distance. Some people like to swim. That's also good. It's also a great body workout. I like to do things like, boxing, like to hit the punching bag and just like, go to work and for one round for 3 minutes, I'm doing it. Pop, 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 just hitting the bag. And, after 3 minutes, take a 1 minute break, do it again, things like that. So as long as you're keeping active and you're doing exercises that, are good for you and you feel like you're getting something out of it and something that's not really going to break you, then that's good. Again, it's okay to, to start slow and to start low. It's better to be safe than sorry. So, all right. Let's see. Question number 7. Of all the streaming devices like Roku, Google Chromecast, Apple TV, the Amazon Fire Stick, and etc., which do you think is the best? Mary from Bloomington, Indiana. Mary, I'm going to say it like this. What works for me, and I'm not saying it's the absolute best because I think it's unfair to say that, but what works best for me and what I prefer personally is the Apple TV. And I say that because number one, it's a great device. You know what I mean? You can get all the apps in there like Netflix and YouTube and, Spotify and all that stuff. And you can actually access stuff and just watch stuff, and it's amazing. I also can stream all of my online movies that I bought from, Apple iTunes and movies everywhere, and I can just go ahead and watch it and have a blast. Because I have an Apple iPhone and an Apple MacBook Pro, if I need to show some kind of presentation, I can actually stream it through the Apple TV, and it can be shown right through the television thanks to the Apple TV. I think it's an incredible piece of technology, and everybody, at least in my opinion, should get down on it if you have Apple in general. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm disqualifying the other, companies and other products like the Roku devices and the Google Chromecasts and, the Amazon like Fire Stick and streaming boxes and so forth. I think they're great and they definitely offer something. So it really just depends on what you feel, what you like. You know what I mean? There are some streaming boxes and devices that offer a little bit more than others. So you kind of have to pick and choose, what it is that you like. Other than that, though, I feel like for me, Apple TV works very well. But, this is a type of question that's very subjective to the individual. So I feel like anything and everything goes. Last but not least, question number 8, which I'm reading it right now, and it's not really much of a question, but here it is. Hey, Kim, I have a compliment more than a question. Every time I listen to your podcast, I leave feeling better than when I first entered. Your voice is a calm, positive, and healing voice that I believe can help other individuals like myself. Things that you say make sense, and I believe that you're doing a great job. Thank you for everything that you do. Catherine with a K from Bismarck, North Dakota. Catherine, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Hearing stuff like that and seeing stuff like that really makes me feel good and makes my heart feel good, because I've said this a million times when I'm out here doing my podcasts. Yes, first and foremost, I want to have fun. I really want to have fun, and I want to do it. I want to have a good time, and I want people to feel like they're welcome here. Like, it's their home too. My home is your home. So I want to make people feel happy and to have them feel welcome. That they're here. I always feel like when I'm here having this platform, it's my responsibility to, help others out as much as I can, and to, have people have a good time, and have people just feel good in some way, shape, or form. And if they can take one positive thing, one positive aspect out of, their day, just by, for anything, from listening to my podcast episode, if they can leave with one thing, that's like awesome, like saying, man, that was good because, everything he said made sense, or he made me feel like, I was part of the family, or he made me feel like, I was accepted here, then I feel like I'm doing my job. The one thing I've always said is that, everyone is welcome. It's okay not to be okay. You can be who you want to be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete, or if you're an intellectual, if you're a nerd, or, if you're a video gamer, or if you're somebody that does music, or if you do this or you do that, if you're coming from a high way of life, if you're coming from the low way of life, it doesn't matter to me, what your financial status is. It doesn't matter, what your orientation is. Whatever the case may be, religion, or what you think about in life, I want everyone to feel welcome. I want everyone to feel like when you come over and you're listening to my podcast show, you are a part of that show. And I want you to feel very happy, and I want you to feel like it's okay to just be yourself, kick it, and have a good time. And if I'm doing that, then I'm very proud of that, and that's what I want. I think people deserve all the happiness in the world, and rightfully so, damn right. So that's what it is. And that being said, we are done. We are done. We are out of time. It is great. I'm glad that I engaged in a great episode. This is a little bit longer than expected because I never meant for this episode to be as long as it is, but hey, it is what it is. So real quick, guys, you can find me on Facebook. Just go ahead and go to the search box, and you can just search under the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'll be there. Just follow me and like it, and I'll keep it going. We are on 2 social media outlets in the forms of Instagram and X, formerly known as Spotify. You can find me at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. And if you add me, I'll add you back. I'll follow you guys, and you can follow me, and we can have a good time and have some proper correspondence. It'll be awesome. Also, we are on many different podcasting platforms now. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and now we are on Audible, which is Google's podcasting and online audiobook service, online streaming service. It is amazing and it is great. Please like our podcast and subscribe to it on all of these podcasting platforms. Now, do me a favor. If you have Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. If you have Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking and a great written review. And the purpose behind that is that the more 5 stars that we get in Spotify, the more 5 stars and positive written reviews that we get on Apple Podcasts, the more likely and the higher the chance that our podcast will actually go to the front of the line, and people will see it more, and people might actually go and say, "Oh my God, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. This is what Joe was talking about. I think I need to go ahead and listen to it, and I need to actually, give it a chance." Yes, listen to it, give it a chance, like it, and subscribe to it. You know what I mean? And also share it, on social media. I mean, we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got X, formerly known as Twitter. We have TikTok. We even have Snapchat. We have it all, man. Feel free to do that, and even tell your friends in real life, face to face about our podcast. I'm telling you right now, the more brand awareness that you actually show for our podcast, the higher the opportunity that we can get of growing a bigger and better fan base. So it really would mean a lot. It really would mean a lot. Last but not least, if you want to be a special guest, if you want to be a special guest host, if you have any constructive criticism, or like I said before, if you want to take part in the Q&A session and interact, you can do so by emailing us at Kim Hoang, or I should say the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. That's once again the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it in the subject box, and then in the body of the email, write an email. Let me know what you want, what questions you have, any concerns, and I will address it once you actually email it to me, because I'm pretty good with communication and reading emails and stuff like that. So I would read it and I would get back to you within 24 hours. So that's just how it goes. But guys, we are out of time. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. You guys are amazing and you mean the world to me. I just hope that you guys are doing well in life. Please make good choices and safe choices and so forth, because it doesn't do us any good if you actually, make the wrong choice and then you end up in a pine box getting buried 6 feet under. We don't want that for you. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be living life because you deserve it. You really do. And I think that if everybody is determined to be happy and they want it, we should provide that. Be happy, do the right things, and just live your life, man. As long as it's legal, and as long as if it doesn't doesn't interfere with John Q laws, with the police, as long as you're doing great things that are more positive for your life, I think it's a winner. You know what I mean? But that's all I got to say, guys, and I just love y'all. Thank you so much. Coming in, all the way from Washington DC in the greater metropolitan area, reporting live from the Asian Sensation Studios in the beta room. This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation, saying thank you. I appreciate it. And we will do it again, once again, here on the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Guys, God bless you. Take care. And we will see you real soon.